What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, instead of my usual weekly watch list video, I thought I'd make a video about stocks that are kind of standing out to me and showing that they are potentially outperforming the market during this correction and could become some of the next market leaders once that overall market pressure is relieved. So in this video, which is sponsored by MarketSmith, we'll go through the charts and talk through kind of what I see. So starting things off, we've got AHCO or Adapt Health Corp CIA. And overall, you can see it's holding that 21 EMA right near all-time highs. And that's kind of the main kind of relative strength criteria that this stock met. And overall, you've got nice earnings here. You've got good estimates for 2021 and a decent trend in the fund ownership as well. So next up on the list, we've got a recent IPO, ARRY Technologies. And this is involved with solar energy projects. They are a supplier and manufacturer. And overall, you can see excellent growth down here. And looking at the chart, you can see it's held up well. You can see that it had a nice move on that first day and has pulled back somewhat, but it could form out this IPO base. And I like the reversals late last week. So next up, we've got Alibaba. And overall, this is holding up quite well relative to the big cap names in the US. And overall, it's holding that 21 EMA is right at all-time highs. And the RS line is right near all-time highs as well. And overall, you've got decent growth here, decent earnings estimates as well, and nice fund ownership. Next on the list, we've got another recent IPO in Corsair Gaming. And overall, you can see excellent growth here in terms of earnings and sales. And looking at the chart, you can see it broke out of its IPO base a few weeks ago and has pulled back to the pivot and then had a nice reversal bar on Friday. So I don't want to see it undercut this breakout low, but overall, this is holding up pretty well and is above that 21 EMA with the RS line right near all-time highs. Moving on, we've got DADA, another Chinese-based company. And overall, you can see nice revenue growth down here. And if we look at the chart, you can see it just is near the pivot of the stage 1 consolidation. And overall, the RS line is right near all-time highs. And it's in this kind of cup and handle formation. Next up, we've got DQ, another Chinese-based company, which is involved in solar energy. And overall, you can see blowout earnings and sales numbers here. And looking at the chart, you can see it was trending nicely, but has pulled back about 20-30% right to the 21 EMA. And overall, the RS line has suffered a bit as a result, but overall, the RS rating is still a very strong 99. And you've got excellent annual EPS estimates, not the greatest fund ownership numbers, and there's no high quality funds in there as well. But overall, definitely a stock that I'm watching. Moving on, we've got another solar stock in ENPH, and overall, a very similar story to DQ. You don't have great growth the past 2 quarters, but overall, there are past quarters with excellent growth. And you've got nice estimates for 2021. The chart yet a nice move up, but a recent pullback. And overall, it's holding right near the 21 EMA above the 50 SMA. And at this moment, the RS line is pretty much going flat over the past few weeks. And the overall RS rating is a very strong 99. Next up, we've got EXAS or Exact Sciences Corp. And I believe the ARK funds were buying this last week. And overall, you have a nice earnings gap up on huge volume, nice revenue growth the past few quarters. And overall, it's holding up very well in this tough market with the RS line right near all-time highs. Overall, you don't have the greatest EPS estimates for 2020 or 2021, but you do have some nice fund ownership numbers, and also you've got the top funds in there as well. Next up, we've got FIVN, and overall, you can see it actually broke out on Friday in a tough market, and you can see that it has decent earnings and sales growth the past few quarters, nothing explosive, but still pretty solid. And overall, you can see that the annual EPS estimates are pretty much flat for 2021, but you have a nice fund ownership trend and high quality funds in this stock as well. Moving on, we've got GSHD, which also broke out from a nice cup and handle pattern with a pivot of 113 on this past Friday. You have the RS line blue ball right here, right at all-time highs. And you have some great numbers the past 2 quarters, over 200% growth in terms of earnings. And you have decent annual EPS estimates for 2021. Good fund ownership, and you've got high quality funds in there as well. Next up, we've got INFI Corp, and you can see that it had a nice earnings gap up on this day, closing right near the high of the trading range, but it's still right at the pivot level of 142 in this stage 2 cup. So this could form a handle here before it truly breaks out, but this definitely is holding up very, very well relative to the overall market. And overall, you've got nice growth in terms of earnings, both in terms of a quarterly basis and annual basis. You've got a nice fund ownership trend, and you have 2 high quality funds in there as well. Moving on, we've got JD, which is another Chinese-based company that's acting very, very well relative to the overall market. You You can see it's in the stage 2 cup with handle at this point with a standard pivot of 85.39. You've got nice earnings the past quarter, along with decent annual EPS estimates, although revisions are down. And overall, the chart looks very strong. The RS line is at new all-time highs. You've got a nice fund ownership trend, although you don't have any high-quality funds investing into this stock. Next up, we've got another solar name, JKS. And this definitely is a lot quicker mover than the maybe larger cap movers in terms of SCDG and ENPH. But overall, you can see a huge run, a huge prior uptrend, and then also a sizable pullback as well. I believe this is about 30% here. And overall, you've got nice growth in terms of earnings. The annual estimates for 2021 are down somewhat from 2020. And overall, you don't have too much growth in terms of fund ownership, and you don't have any high quality funds investing into this stock. But in terms of RS, you can see it's holding that 21 EMA and potentially could form a kind of bottom of a base here as it forms potentially a cup shape here. And that's kind of what I'm watching for. So next up, we've got MPWR, or Monolithic Power Systems. And overall, you've got nice growth in terms of earnings. Last quarter, up 56%. And you can see that there are nice estimates for 2021, although they are up only 9%. Revisions are up. And you've got a nice increasing trend in fund ownership and for high-quality funds in there as well. And look at the chart, you can see it's really standing out, pretty much going sideways during this correction. The RS line is right at all-time highs. If we go to a weekly chart, I believe this is a 3 weeks tight, or it might not be, but it's very, very close to that. But regardless, it's showing a lot of strength and is really holding above this 300 level very, very well. So that is MPWR. And next up, we've got NET. And overall, you can see after this nice breakout from the stage 2 cup, it has pulled back somewhat, but it's finding potential support right at the 21 EMA. It's holding that 50 level here. So I don't want to see it lose kind of this 50 level, and definitely not the low of the breakout day, and also this big move up day as well. Moving on, we've got NIO, and this has been getting tight, breaking out, getting tight and breaking out, repeating that pattern. And overall, you can see it's up 98% from this breakout from the stage 1 cup with handle. And overall, you can see nice sales growth here. And you can see it's also not supposed to be profitable within the next 2 years, but you have a nice increase in fund ownership, although you do not have any high quality funds in there as well. Next up, we've got NLS, or Nautilus Inc. And overall, you can see excellent earnings growth the past 2 quarters. For 2021, the earnings estimates are actually down 29%, which I don't like to see, although revisions are up. And if we look at the chart, you can see it's holding near the 21 EMA, although it did close below it on Friday. And this stock would totally be allowed to pull back to the 50 SMA before kind of building out this base. But overall, the price action has been very, very strong. And I want to see it retake that 21 EMA. Next up, we've got NVCR, Novacure Limited. And overall, you can see excellent earnings growth the past 3 quarters. And looking at the chart, you can see that it's pulled back to the 21 EMA after a huge run from this stage 1 cup with handle. And you've got nice annual EPS estimates for 2021, up 86%. You've got a nice increasing trend in the number of funds and also 3 high-quality funds investing into this stock as well. So good things from NVCR. And moving on, we've got PACOM. And overall, you can see it's holding the 21 EMA after the breakout from this stage 1 consolidation. And you can see there's not too much growth the past 3 quarters, but the annual EPS estimates for 2021 are up 26% with the revisions up as well. You've got a nice increasing trend in the number of funds as well, and also 4 high quality funds investing into this company. Next up, we've got PCTY, and overall this is very similar to PACOM. It's holding that 21 EMA after the breakout from the cup with handle. You don't have too much growth the past quarter, although you do have evidence of nice growth a few quarters ago. The estimates for 2022 are very strong, up 42%, and you've got an increasing trend in the number of funds and 3 high quality funds investing into this stock as well. Moving on, we've got PDD, and overall you can see it's been moving up during this overall correction, showing really nice RS. And overall, you can see nice revenue growth down here. You can see it's just supposed to be profitable in 2021. And look at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend. You do have Fidelity Contra funds starting a position as well. And looking at the chart, you can see it's in the stage 3 consolidation with a standard pivot at 98.96, so right near that key 100 level. So this is definitely one I'm watching very, very closely. Moving on, we've got PINs, and you can see that had this nice, huge gap up on earnings, and earnings were up 999%, sales up 58%, and return on equity up 3.4%. And you've got nice annual EPS estimates as well. And overall, the RS line is right near all-time highs with the overall RS rating a very strong 98. Next up, we've got REGI, Renewable Energy Group. And overall, you can see nice earnings growth. And looking at the chart, you can see it's holding the 21 EMA, and this has been acting very, very strongly, even during the 2 corrections that we've had since this strong move up. So here, you can see that the SPX was moving down, this was moving up, kind of the definition of relative strength. And overall, you can see nice annual EPS estimates for 2021 as well of 53%, and this is definitely a promising stock to watch. Next up, we've got SAM, or Boston Beer Company, and overall, you can see nice growth the past 2 quarters. And looking at the annual EPS, you can see it's supposed to increase 46% in 2021. And overall, you've got a nice trend in fund ownership, a nice group of high quality funds as well. And look at the chart, you can see it's above the 21 EMA after this huge gap up, and it's holding the low of that gap up day, which is very promising. So moving on, we've got SE, or C Limited, and overall you can see nice revenue growth the past 4 quarters. And if we look at the annual EPS, you can see it's not supposed to be profitable within the next 2 years. But you do have a nice trend in increasing fund ownership, although you do not have any high quality funds investing into SE. And looking at the chart, you can see it had been holding the 21 EMA until Friday, but it is holding that 50 SMA at this time. So moving on, we've got Snap, and overall you can see great earnings the past quarter, up 125%, sales were up 52%, and you can see it's not supposed to be profitable within the next 2 years. But overall, you've got a nice trend in fund ownership and 4 high quality funds in there as well. And as for RS, you can see it had a huge earnings gap up, which is the biggest sign of RS for me, and it's been holding the low of that day and even moving up during this overall market correction. So you've got a very strong move here and an RS rating of 98. Moving on, we've got SNBR, and overall you can see earnings were up 90% last quarter, and you can see in 2021 the annual EPS estimates are actually down 3%, although revisions are up, and you can see there's just a small kind of increase in fund ownership over the past 2 years, and you do not have any high quality funds investing into this stock. But if we look at the chart, there are clear signs of RS, and you've got a nice move out of the stage 1 consolidation, and it's been very tight the past few weeks as the overall market has been correcting, and that's why the RS rating or the RS line is increasing at this time. Next up, we've got SPWR, and overall you can see there's not really any fundamental growth numbers down here, but if we look at the chart, you can see a nice move here, up about 50% from this low, and now it's pulled back to 21 EMA and looks like it's finding support at that level at about 15 here. And overall, you can see it's just supposed to be profitable in 2021, and you've got an increase in fund ownership, not too dramatic, and you also have 1 high quality fund in it as well. So last on the list, we've got STAA, or Star Surgical Company, and overall you can see a nice breakout from the stage 2 consolidation above the 62.51 pivot, and since then you can see a few up days after that as well, and it pretty much is going flat at this time as the overall market is correcting, which is why the RS line is right at all-time highs. So overall, these are just a few examples that really stuck out to me in terms of relative strength. If there's any stocks that you think I missed, just let me know down below in the comment section. And other than that, thanks so much for watching. Please go ahead and leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys in future videos.